Hi everybody. Hi again, I should say. Because yes, I'm recording 2 videos right back to back. So for February of 2021, the first book that I want to review for you today is called Black Celebration: Amazing Articles on African American Horror, and it's a non-fiction book. The editor is Sumiko Salson. It came out in 2019, and I guess it originally started as a series of articles on horroraddicts.net, which is a really good resource if you're a horror fan or a horror author as well. There's quite a lot of really good folks working over there. And Sumiko Salson every year puts out a list of Black women writing horror, which you should check out because she's got some really good, really great names on the list. So when I first saw the author lineup, I was actually expecting something a little bit more academic, maybe some talk about race theory and critical analysis of some texts, and I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised that it was that most of the articles are reviews of various things, various bits of culture and horror. So there's a number of different articles. There's an article by Lori Titus about Black creators in horror comics. You have a few reviews of the work of just one person, like the career of Tony Todd. You have longer essays. There's one about African American music. There's an analysis of Toni Morrison's, of the magic realism in Toni Morrison's work. Now there's interviews with Elsie Cornell, Dr. Kenitra, oh my goodness, Brock? I can't read my own handwriting, I'm sorry. Alex Fernandez and Linda Addison, who are all creators, obviously. There really is something for everybody. There's an introductory essay that I enjoyed by Valjean Jeffers called Why Race Matters. And she discusses what it's like to be a fan, but to never see heroes that look like she does. And so creators grow up, one of the things about being a horror writer, whether you're Black or white or what have you, is I think it's always important to write the stories that you wish you could see and read yourself. And I think that that's a really good perspective that came up in that essay. There's another article by, what was his name? Oh boy. I wrote it down here, I'm sorry. Budoga. Oh boy, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. Tabu? Anyway, I really enjoyed that article too, because he discussed what were called race films of the 30s and 40s. I didn't even know that they existed. They were a series of films shot entirely with an African American cast and directed at an African American audience, because at the time, Black customers were segregated. They weren't allowed to attend the theater with the white customers. So, but of course, the color that matters is green. And producers started to figure out, hey, there's a whole market here that we can make money on. So they started making these films that were directed towards the Black audience. And the author discusses some really hilarious sounding, really pulpy horror movies from the 30s and 40s. And some of them you can actually find on YouTube. So I'm going to check those out when I can. And another, there are a couple of books that I want to pick up. I just bought Sycorax's Daughters, which is a collection of horror stories by Black women authors. Sycorax was the mother of Caliban in The Tempest, and it's been so long since I read The Tempest, I totally forgot about most of the characters. I remember Caliban and Prospero, but that's about it. And my favorite part of the book were the shorter essays by James Goodrich, and I follow James over on Facebook. He curates a group called Who Gives You the Right, and he interspersed among the other essays there are a number of shorter pieces by James where he talks about just different aspects of horror culture. There's an article about the history of Haunted Hickory Hill, which I guess is a real place, and he talks about what it was like watching grindhouse films in the 70s, and some of the and he's a longtime fan of pulp horror, and so he discusses some of those kind of films. So there really is something for everyone. I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. My only quibble with it is there isn't a table of contents, probably because it was originally a series of blog posts rather than putting together as a book. So I would have appreciated a table of contents. That would have made it a little bit easier to navigate. And I bought it on ebook from Kindle, and it was a really good price. It was like $1 or something. It was really, really cheap. It used to be available on Smashwords for free, but it's definitely worth picking up. And it's definitely led me to Sycorax's Daughters, which I picked up, and the 100 plus Black women in horror writing, which is also edited by Sumiko Salson. And it's got kind of almost like an encyclopedia format, and then a whole bunch of interviews. So there's it's just a really great resource and a really great introduction to work by Black creators in horror that you might not have ever come across. And I mean, I've been a horror fan my whole life, but there's a lot obviously missing from my horror education, if you want to call it that. So I was really pleasantly surprised by this, and I enjoyed all the articles and the reviews and the discussions, and there is some blatant fangirling as well, which is a lot of fun to read. So I hope you'll check it out, and I hope you'll discover some new books along with some new films that have been around for a while, but they might be new to you. And I hope you're reading lots of great horror. Have a great day.